Lindsay, welcome. Thank you for joining me. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, good morning. I'm excited to be back here with you. We had a great conversation last time. I'm looking forward to today.
I am too. I am too. I'm excited for you to join me, and just again, privileged for you to even have this conversation with me. So I want to start here. You've led teams at iconic brands like Nike, and now you're empowering entrepreneurs through Stafford Solutions, your company. Can you take us back to a moment in your corporate career when you were first envisioning building something that was truly yours? And how did that vision set the stage for your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, sorry, I laughed because I don't think I even imagined anything like what I'm doing now, right? Um, I go back to those worlds. So I left corporate 4 years ago completely. So almost 4 years. And was building businesses on the side while I was working in corporate for about another 4 years. So it was about 8 years. I spent about 8 years in entrepreneurship, and um, I don't think I thought about it, to be honest, because I think I was brought up in the culture and in the environment. My dad had a job and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and I wasn't surrounded by entrepreneurship at all. So I don't think I even really imagined what I could create and what Stafford Solutions has become. I've just always, I'm a Christian, so my decisions are faith-based, and I really just try to follow what God puts in front of me and tells me to do. And it was really just an act of following what I was being called to do and taking a leap of faith, but being smart about it, um, and finding a need to help people in different ways. So I didn't have this big vision for, I want to create this, I want to have this big thing. It was just, there's a need, I'm going to help because there's a need. And so I see business opportunities everywhere I look. It's just, it drives my daughter crazy because I'm always like, oh, you could do this. Oh, I see this. You could, she's like, Mom, stop, just like be. And so I think I've always had that brain of like, oh, I could do something better than what's already being done. Um, but I think when I first started my own business, it was in direct sales, nothing like what I'm doing now. I just continued to follow what God put in front of me and follow the leads that he was placing there. And again, serve other people. That's always been my purpose, is to help serve others. And, your purpose in serving others changes as you grow and as you go. Um, so what I really just wanted was autonomy and flexibility. And I didn't want someone telling me how much money I can make, when I could take time off, where I had to be, when I had to work, what I had to do. I also wanted to be able to look at a tool or a resource or a process and go, I don't agree with that. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to make it better. When you work for somebody else, you can't do that. You have to follow what you're being told to do. And I'm a Leo. I don't like to be told what to do. In fact, if you tell me what to do, I'm probably going to do exactly the opposite, just because I don't want you to tell me what to do. And that's not a good trait, but it is a trait in entrepreneurship, right?
I'm a Leo myself, so trust me, I'm hard headed just like you.
Yeah.
we hard headed. I know it.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, so I think I just, I was after designing a life that I wanted. And so whatever that meant, I was willing to do if I could do it while I was serving other people. And I think for me, it was really, my daughter was in elementary school and she was doing competitive cheerleading, and I started to see the cost of all this stuff of the life that I wanted to be able to give my kids. And I told you this in our pre-interview too, that I wanted to be able to say yes to everything. Not that we do say yes to everything, but I wanted to be able to. And I knew that somebody else telling me what my salary was going to be was never going to give me the freedom and flexibility to say yes to everything, because I was capped, right? And so I was looking for a way to provide a different life, and serve other people and feel like I was doing really good work. And if I didn't feel like something was paying off, I didn't want to do it. And when you work for somebody else, that can be really tough.
Yeah, it really can, and I appreciate you sharing that story because it's. I think that's what a lot of people are not doing, is setting that vision. Like you at least
Sure.
had a vision of what you were trying to do, and then you put action to the vision. Do you still have these moments when you were designing your life? Like, was that early in your life, like childhood, or did it not come until like high school, like work? Like,
I've
when
always
did you?
been weird. Well, I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to be like a little you have to go against the grain, right? And so I've always gone against the grain. I really believe in education. I serve as the vice president of the board for Reframe EDU, which is a nonprofit that serves as a conduit to help entrepreneur children in the Entrepreneur Innovation Center here in Williamson County. And I'm very proud to be a part of that. And I really believe in education. But I personally, school was really tough for me, being told what to think and not how to think. I didn't agree with that. I still think we have to reframe education, which is where the name Reframe EDU came from. And that was I I always was bright enough to get good grades without putting a ton of effort in, which is not something I'm proud of. It taught me that I can figure my way out through things. Um, but I think I've always gone against the grain, and even, direct sales was my first entrepreneur, I was 18 and I signed up with she's still my very best friend, Christy Greenleaf. She's a breast cancer survivor and advocate. You should find her and she should be on your podcast too. But, um, I signed up to do direct sales with her. I talk to her every day, and, that's against the grain, right? There's such a stigma around MLMs and direct sales, and I was like, "Whatever, I can do this." So I think I've always been comfortable beating to my own drum and doing my own thing. I'm definitely like the odd one that's like, yeah, if everybody else is doing that, I'm not doing that. Um, I think early on probably, but I don't think I was confident enough to do it. We grow up in this world today where society tells us that we should follow this program. And, you go to high school, you graduate, go to college, you take out student loans, you take out a mortgage, and now you have credit card debt and you buy, there's all these things that are just society's normal. And, maybe that's changing today, but that's how I grew up. I'm 43, so I was born in 82. And that's kind of the normal mainstream environment in middle class America that I grew up in. And I didn't wanna do that. I wanted to be different. I saw a different way. I kept thinking, "Why on earth would I go to work all day and be away from the people I love the most and come home and give them crumbs? Why is that normal for people?" And so I wanted different than that, and I didn't want that life, and so I kind of always was like, "What else is there? What other options are there for me?" But I had kids really young. My husband and I got married 5 months after we met. We got engaged 3 weeks after we met. We got married 5
Good
months
for
after we
you
met. I
guys.
know,
Good
we're
for
ridiculous.
you.
20 years it'll be this next anniversary that we've been married. And, we had kids young. I was 23 when I had Isabel, 24 when I had Isabel, and 26 when I had Ben. And so we didn't really have this, like, 15 years of building, a career. So I had to figure it out and balance both a career and building a business, and, finally walked away from the career to just pursue employing other people and giving other people opportunities. And it's one of the principles at Stafford Solutions. My team is given autonomy in their work life. They're not told when they have to be somewhere, what time they have to be there. They obviously there's a pay, but we operate with a ton of bonus opportunity and commission structure. And so people have room to achieve more. And so I've really that's the way we operate at Stafford Solutions. And I have a lot of moms on my team that work around their kids. And that's important to me that they're able to do that they can be present. My longtime assistant has been with me for 7 or 8 years. She lives in Michigan. We've never met face to face, which is crazy, but she's like family, and she's had 2 babies in the time we've been together, and she needs to be a mom first. That is the priority for her. And so, that's the way that I try to provide opportunities of employment that allow people the freedom and flexibility to do what matters most, and that's not your work. Your work is important, but your family is first.
I love that. And you provide this space for people to, like you said, put their priority, which for you, I'm assuming at Stanford Solutions is probably one of your tenants is family, right?
Mhm.
You run a family-based business and you support your team in the same way. And I think that goes back to service, right? The thing
Yeah,
that you said that you lead with. And I hope our audience is listening because that is one of the key tenets of leadership in general is understanding that you are serving another
yeah,
party. Once you remove yourself is really when you do become this leader, so to speak. And we put the term to it, but it really is just service. And I,
mhm,
I love that you allow that and provide that for your team. I really do. I think that's really awesome. The What's the toughest mental block that you've had to face during
mhm.
these transitions that you've had from going from corporate world, but not just that, young corporate and a mom as well, right? To now
Yeah.
transitioning into running businesses while still continuing to be a mom, still having these other roles and these other hats that you have to have basically. There's not like a you don't get to put one off. It's like you have to have all of them.
Yeah.
So what's the toughest mental block or challenge that you've, faced? And how does you kind of cultivate that resilience to push through and continue to build what you're building?
Yeah, it's a great question, and the answer will depend on what day you ask me because as you know, in entrepreneurship, every day is a different challenge. It's a roller coaster. You never know what you're going to wake up to. You never know what challenges you're going to face. And as a leader, it can be much the same because even I think back to my, time where I was leading teams of hundreds of people in corporate and they're humans. They are coming to each day with their own set of challenges that they're facing. And as a leader, your role is to meet them where they are, to understand what drives them, to help guide them, motivate them, get the best from them. And I can go on and on with what your role is, but you have to understand that they're coming to every day with their own human complexities, just like you are when you wake up in the morning. We all have our things that we challenge. So I will say, first and foremost, my faith has always been the foundation. I can't do anything without that. And I think, I don't know how people survive parenthood, life, business without having a foundation of faith being first. Okay. So that's my first and foremost is that's how I combat all of this. And I think all glory has to go to God. So I have to make sure you hear that first and that listeners hear this first. That being said, every day there's going to be a new challenge. It's the 6 inches between your ears that you fight every day to become the better version of you. And I think the biggest challenge that I have always faced and most people face is imposter syndrome. Is every time you achieve something, you go, am I really good enough to do that? Did Am I really capable? And I think the fear of leaving corporate, it's that fear of self-doubt or imposter syndrome that there's no way I can do that. I'm just me. Like I'm just a human. I'm flawed. And I'm like very transparent and self-depreciating in the fact that like I'm not great at a lot of things. And I am the first to admit that, but I know what I am good at. And I've learned over the years to hone in on the things that I'm really good at and then hire people to do the rest of the things that I'm not great at or I don't enjoy. If it doesn't bring me joy, it doesn't produce an income and I'm not great at it, I'm not going to do it. And it even if I am great at it, still might not be something that I do because I'm really good at folding towels, but I have somebody that does my laundry and I don't do that, right? I spend time in retail. I can fold clothes, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
But I think it's that fear of failure or imposter syndrome that every day you have to battle that every single day. Like, I was in a meeting with my bookkeeper and CFO yesterday, and I said, I'm not going to lie. Every time we run payroll, I feel the weight of that because there are so many people's lives depending on the success of this business. And I don't take that for granted. So that fear of, you know, can I really do this? Am I good enough to keep this going? Right? That's always going to be in there. Every business owner has those moments. What I have learned is that if God takes you to it, he's going to take you through it. And
Mm,
it's bigger than just me. And I have to have faith to say, I'm going to be obedient and I'm going to stay the course and I'm going to do what you're guiding me to, and telling me and leading me to do. And I have a responsibility and you've entrusted me with that. So I need to execute that. So I kind of answered like what the challenge is. I think it's fear of failure, fear of imposter syndrome. And the way that I've learned to combat that is by leaning on not my own understanding, but my faith and the skills that I've acquired and continuing to say, well, I'm going to show up and do my very best today. And that combined with my faith in Christ putting me here, that's going to get me through it.
appreciate you sharing that. That's so good. That's so good because I am someone that's refinding their faith as as we have this conversation and we kind of talked briefly about it in our
Hmm.
pre-conversation and understanding how important it is to have that belief in God, Jesus, power, and again, this is not a religious podcast. I want to say that just straight
Yeah,
up before we get
but
into
it
what
is
we're
with
about
me
to
on
say.
it.
Yeah, yes, and but what we're talking about is deeper than religion, right? It's faith. It's
Yeah.
it's a universal frequency. It's more than just, the name Christian or Muslim or it's way bigger than
Hmm.
that. And I want my listeners to really understand when we do talk about faith, we're not talking about just one. We're talking about faith in general, the specifics of what faith is. And whatever your faith is, I think Lindsay's given you something very, very important to stick with is keep it as your foundation principle.
Mm.
And I think that that's huge because as you said, and as we know, life is hard. Like when we get off this call, you're going to have to go deal with something in your real life. Same over here on this side, same for our listeners. So ground yourself in something bigger than you. I think that's a huge takeaway from what you said, Lindsay, because I find that to be really important. And I'm passionate
Mhm.
about that in putting your faith in something that's not you, like, but also you've had to build the skills to get better at the things that you need to do,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
I
so
mean,
that's your responsibility of this
yeah.
game as well. That's so good. That's so
Well,
good.
you can't just be like, "Oh god, just build the business for me, okay?" It doesn't work that way, like, right? You have to, be intentional, and there's a lot that goes to it and goes into it, but, I think having faith and community, and that's the other piece, is surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals, and on my podcast, The Lyndsay Stafford Show, I talked about, I met with, Amy Gray, who owns House of Gray. She's awesome, really cool business she's got, but she came over and our birthdays are a day apart, and we spent some time together just in my pool, just hanging out together on a random Tuesday, because that's what you can do when you own a business. You can say, "I'm not working today. We're gonna hang out." We worked the whole time. I mean, talking business, right? I like to surround myself with people that like to talk about business because that's fun for me. And my reality is that there aren't a lot of women that do that. That's like, and there aren't a lot of people. Like most people don't want to sit and talk about business. I do all day. But anyways, we talked about shedding people and shedding layers. And I'm reading a book right now called Necessary Endings by Dr. Henry Cloud. And there are necessary endings as you grow your business and as you grow leadership. As you grow, you outgrow people. And that doesn't mean that they're bad. It doesn't mean that you have to like have this, horrible ending. It just means there was a time and a season and a place for that. And now you're in a different place. And you have to be okay with that. And I think a lot of people, as they grow in their careers, or they don't grow in their career because they don't shed those layers and they don't look around and go, are these the people that are where I want to be? And they kind of just go, well, they're just my people. And there's a place for, I just told you, my best friend has been with my best friend for, 20 something years, but but she's also like-minded and we have the same, core values. But it's okay to shed people and shed seasons of your life where you're no longer there. That's how you grow as a leader.
Yeah, that's a great takeaway. I'm thinking about the season that I'm in right now, and I'm in this shedding season, so to speak. And I know at the beginning of your career, you probably felt the same thing when you were walking into this entrepreneurial lifestyle, so to speak. The things that you were thinking about weren't the things that people were thinking about around you, and
Oh,
you just had to find your tribe, so to speak, right? Your community. And that's what one of the reasons I started the podcast, to be honest with you, is to talk
awesome.
to like-minded individuals like yourself and so I can learn and then soak up
Yeah,
the game. Um, yeah, because you're giving some gems right now. I want to
thanks.
go no, for sure. I want to go a little bit high level with you, kind of talk strategies, mindsets, frameworks, things that you work with Lindsay Stafford. No, excuse me, with Stafford Solutions. I don't know why I said your full name. With Stafford Solutions,
It's one of the same.
it is technically one of the same. So you've brought big brand systems, right? You've worked with some huge brands, Nike, American Eagle, that we talked about briefly, but you've brought it to a small and kind of mid-sized business like yours, Stafford Solutions. Can you walk us through like a core system or process that
Sure.
you teach new entrepreneurs to kind of set up their business for this, for sustainable growth, really? Because that's the hardest part. I feel like people
Mhm.
start businesses all the time, but they don't have the consistent growth. And then they kind of belly out and then,
Yeah,
die out. So, what are some processes and strategies that you teach?
sure. I'm gonna explain it, why I'm gonna share this one, and then I'm gonna walk through it. So, one of the challenges, and the reason I founded the consulting piece of Stafford Solutions, and really we're more than consultants. We don't tell you what the problem is. We tell you, we roadmap it, and then we help you fix it. So we actually deploy a team to go in and help create systems or do a brand remake. We do the work. Most consultants will be like, all right, here's your problem. Here's your bill. Now go fix your problems. And we operate in a very different fashion. We work one-on-one with our clients. We integrate ourselves into their business. We become part of their team. We get to know their team and we work with them. We work on site doing, a lot of work to uncover deeper challenges. And then we fix it. So whatever the problems are that are happening in the business, we provide the solution for that. And that is huge for businesses because a lot of small to mid-sized businesses, they don't have a C-level team. So there's not a CFO, CMO, COO, chief operating officer, chief marketing officer, chief financial officer. It's like the owner, and then they have their employees. So when there's a system break or a system challenge, the owner has to deal with it or let it go. And they don't have people that can go fix these problems, right? So one of the problems that we address the most frequently and is extremely important for business owners is standard operating procedures. And business owners get stuck in this place where they're like, yeah, I know there's all these problems, but I don't have time to fix it. And my team, that's not what they do. They're actually workers. Like they're out there doing the work. They're not C-level executives. And so in my work in marketing and advertising, what I learned about business owners after working with hundreds of clients over several years, because I'm still in that space, we still do branding and marketing, and I still have 2 magazines that we publish, local magazines, and I am very passionate about helping local entrepreneurs, and I'll stay in that space as long as I can. I've got a great team and system to make that all work. But what I found was business owners didn't have any support. It was them and then their team that was executing. They did not have a team of advisors. They didn't have the resources. And when you talk to a business owner that's doing, 2 to 8 million a year, depending on the level of business, even smaller than that, I work with them in private coaching spaces, but typically our consulting clients are over 2.5 million for annual revenue. And they they need guidance, they need support, and then they need help actually executing the changes that needed to happen in their business. And they don't have the ability to go spend $300,000 on one person to do all of this. And quite honestly, they need more than one person because they typically need operating and branding. And so I have an amazing team. The only reason Stafford Solutions can exist is because I have an incredible team. I've got project managers, marketing, digital, I've got all these people on my team, consultant, operations, all of it that can go in and support with execution. And the price point is different for the business owner than if they had to go hire all these people. So I've already found the best people and we just go in and do it. And there is a huge opportunity for businesses to level up by using someone like us to do that, or just go ahead and use the best and use us. But one of the challenges that I found when I was talking to business owners is they don't have SOPs. So what I mean by SOP, standard operating procedures. So things that they do every day in their business, they can't duplicate it. It's not duplicatable and it's not something that they can transfer to somebody else. They are the business. This is most business owners. They are owners and operators. And that means that if they walk out of the business falls. They do not have somebody that can step in and do it. They don't have systems to be able to say, here's the manual of exactly what this job is. This is what it entails. These are the roles and responsibilities. This is how we measure success. This is the commission. This is, or the compensation. That doesn't exist. And so not only is the business not scalable, it's not sellable, because if the owner is the business, you can't sell the business. You are the owner of the business. It's not sellable. So people spend years building businesses and they can't, when it's time to retire or walk away, they don't have anything to show for it because they don't have standard operating procedures and they don't have systems in place that can be transferred to somebody else. So they lose a key employee, and guess what? They don't know how to teach them how to do everything because there's no SOP. So that's one of the biggest mistakes that business owners make. And the thing is, when I work with new young business owners, and I don't mean young in age, I mean young in their business, that's one of the first things that we talk about is you need to have standard operating procedures written for everything you're doing. every single thing. So that's one of the things we can come in and really make a difference in businesses is give them a platform of what does success look like? What does right look like? How do you measure to that? In my background in big companies, there's an SOP for everything in big companies. There's no like guessing how we do this. This is the way it's done. You have to because the turnover is high and the onboarding is high, the level of people that are coming in. So you've got to have systems that can be duplicated. And that's the biggest thing I see that in small to mid-sized businesses, they lack SOPs, they lack effective systems. So we come in, we do efficiency, effectiveness, and profitability. We're always looking for how can we make you more efficient? How can we make you more effective? And how can we make you more profitable? And the thing is, we always do it. We go in and we fix it and we figure out how to make them more efficient, more effective, and more profitable. And our goal is always how can we go in and say, we're going to find you enough money to keep paying for us and save you enough money and enough headache and that's what we do. So standard operating procedures, it's pretty easy to do. AI gives you a lot of resources as a business owner. You can go in and say, all right, here's what I'm doing, write an SOP for me, right? It's hard to duplicate that over a big company. That's why you need support with it. But if you're starting out, start today writing whatever you do, writing it down and creating a standard operating procedure for it. Long answer.
No, that's so good though, because it's something that I think not only businesses could use, but you could use this in your own daily life, right? Like the way you were explaining it, it's like, man, you could use that for organizing your school, organizing your son for school the next day. The night
Totally.
before, you could literally create an SOP that you
Here's
have
the
on the
document.
fridge.
Yeah,
But I'm making it
it's true.
silly, but I just wanted to like make it as simple as possible for our listeners to really kind of grasp what this is. It's really a guideline and a checklist to do the things that are necessary to do the thing that you're doing. I know that sounds funny, but it's
No, it's true.
it's the truth though, and I know, just transparency, I need to create an SOP
Mhm.
myself because I have list and checklist that I do, but nothing is standardized yet because I'm still teetering and, "Ooh, I like this. I don't like
Yeah.
that. I'm moving." So I'm still in this very beginning stage, but I do believe there does need to be some sort of structure. So I'm gonna take away a lot from that because I know I need one.
Well, I'll give you a good starting point, okay? Here's what I would tell you or any, like, newer entrepreneur. Just create a document. We call it a playbook. A lot of businesses call it that. I guess that's my history in retail. That's we call it playbook. But create a playbook and have it a just a Google Doc or whatever you want to use. I'm terrible with this stuff. This is why I have a full time assistant that does these things for me because I'm like, here's what I need you to create. Okay, now go do it. And she's phenomenal, but I couldn't. She's like my lifeline. But create a document and just have links in there that link to other documents. So for example, if you have an expense, let's say you don't have a bookkeeper, but you do expenses yourself and you've got a link to a document that has all of your expenses. Have a finance category on your worksheet and have a link to that. Have a link to all the master lists and documents that
I
you're
see
using
what
on
you're
a
saying.
regular basis. And also, when you create an SOP, no, it's going to change. It is going to change, but how you're doing it today, document that. And it's okay. We just did a 2-day workshop in August. We didn't take in any new clients on purpose. We said we're not taking new clients. We're going to work on our internal systems because we've grown and we need to reevaluate them. So my internal team did a 2-day workshop and all we did was evaluate our systems and our SOPs to say what needs to change, what documents need to change, what needs to be updated. We do that audit whenever it's like, okay, I'm feeling like this is we're having to edit too much. We need to make some changes. And so start with just a master list, categorize your things, whether it's, your finances, your social media, your website, your product, whatever things you're touching on a regular basis, and keep all of your stuff in one place, all of your links in one place, any document. So when you take an intake form for somebody coming to your podcast, have that on, have all of those documents under podcast on your master playbook.
Yeah,
And then it's all in one place. That is a huge game changer when you're starting your business. If you can just do that, you're going to be getting off on the right foot.
I love that. That's really good. I'm going to create my master list after we get off this
Yes.
phone conversation because I think That's where I struggle, and maybe many of my listeners can attest to this too. It's when you're doing one thing and then something else pops up, and then you know you have to take care of this next thing, but now you have to figure out a way to get back to the thing that you were
Yeah,
working on before the fire came out. Sorry, before the fire came out. So now you're a little disorganized, and then something else will pop up, and then you don't. So this is really good stuff. So you're saying master lists, links to each category so you can create like a document or sheets or whatever, put the link of that sheet or whatever
yeah,
into this master list. So that way, anytime you need to get to that thing, just click the link and you're going to go right directly there.
exactly.
That's
So, like,
so good.
Mondays, my assistant and I have an hour and a half touch base every Monday. We go through everything. And we have one master Monday reference sheet. And on that sheet, there are links to every single spreadsheet that I'm going to want to see, which there's a lot because I like to be in the know of everything that's happening in my business. Like, where are we at with deliverables for this client, where are we at with this project? And so there's links to everything in there. The other thing we use is Jira, which is a task list. You can use that for yourself. There's a free version. I don't know if we pay for ours. It's Jira. And that's another great tool for a new business owner or leader, to be honest, because you can go in there and assign tasks to other people, but you can also put them in for yourself. So let's say you're in the middle of doing a project and you have something pop up that you have to get to. You can go put it on Jira, like finish this. This is where I'm at, and then go back to it. I call it like brain dumping. So every
Okay.
day I'll go in and go, okay, these are all the things, projects I want to work on, but I can't get to it today. These are all my task things. And then when you have a minute, instead of scrolling social media, you go to your task list and you
Task
pop
list.
off one of those, right? So that's if you're a solopreneur, that's a huge benefit for you too.
Love that. That's a good one too. I've never heard of Jira. So I'm gonna look that up because I'm assuming it's like an AI kind of thing. It sounds kind of
It's honestly
AI-ish.
just a project manager.
It
So
is.
you can have we have three categories like to do, in progress, and completed. So I can put a task on there for my assistant, tag her, I rank it, which what the priority is. And then we use Slack for internal communication for projects. But for a to-do list with just, like, I have assistants for several things like make this doctor's appointment or, schedule this appointment for me. And those end up on the task list. But even for myself, like you said, I'll look and be like, oh, I got to take care of that. I'm going to put it on here, take it
That's
out
really
of my
cool.
brain. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I normally do that with my notes, but then I'll lose the notes. So this is actually probably a little bit more convenient because it's like right probably on my desktop, which is nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or there's an app. So
Yeah.
I'm on my phone mostly. There's an app and then it's like, it's out of your head. It's living somewhere else.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about it, and that is a I'm, like, super ADD, and I don't take any medication for it. I've learned how to use it to my advantage and work within the constraints that I have to, and one of the things I've learned is I've gotta keep a running list of things because 'cause I'll be like, "What was that? What was I supposed to be doing?"
Sticky note guy. So trust me, I feel
Yeah, so
you. I
I'm
feel
gonna
you.
I'm gonna get you out of sticky notes.
Yeah, I feel you. I wish you could see my desk. It's like you'd be like, "Yo, what? How do you even know what's going on today?" My,
But most people are like that. That's why
yeah,
they need systems
yeah.
for organization.
No, it's so
Yeah.
true. So true. What is and those were gold systems, and I feel like those are like really, really awesome. I know we spoke briefly about your billionaire mentor, and I really want to touch on him because I don't know
Yeah.
who it is, and I don't have a billionaire mentor, so you're maybe the first person I know to communicate that to me.
Yeah.
You said that they exited a business very successfully, which is why one of the reasons that they're there. And I know that they must have shared something, some game changing insights, something that our listeners would be like, oh, this is good. What's
Yeah.
one specific lesson or strategy that they had taught you when it comes to
Yeah.
scaling or exiting a business?
Well, to just for transparency, I think it's multimillionaire. I don't think it's a billionaire, but
We're
I've
gonna
never
keep it
asked that exact question.
billionaire. We're
But
gonna keep
still,
it billionaire.
I gotta make sure it's right
For
what
sure.
gets put out there. But um I think, gosh, I've had so many incredible mentors, honestly, so many mentors in my life, and I still have so many incredible mentors. I think when I went to this person and asked, hey, I want you to, mentor me, one of the things that I've taken is like trust yourself and like live okay in the chaos because it's going to be chaos. And like that was something I wasn't necessarily expecting to hear in that conversation. And one of the things I heard when we first started talking, when I was like walking through the chaos in my mind and like before I had brought this vision of what Stafford Solutions is to today, before I brought it to life, um, they said, it was crazy for us too. Like you're just kind of living in the crazy. Like that is, but the work is worth it on the other side. And like I knew that, but hearing that was powerful to hear. It was crazy for me too. And I think that's what we're always looking for, validation that what we're going through is normal, validation that what we're experiencing is not just us that's experiencing it. And also that some people get through it and create something amazing and you can too. So I think that was one thing. The other lesson that I think was really powerful was, and this happens from other people in my life too, is being like, know your role as the founder and CEO and stick to that role. And you do not need to do everything and you shouldn't do everything. And I think early on when we're starting businesses, you have to wear every hat in the business because you're starting it. You can't go out and, we've never taken a loan or, any of that. So we're debt free company. And so it's not like I went, okay, I'm going to start paying all these salaries and like hope the business comes. No, we like bootstrapped it. I got creative with how I was, hiring and compensation and, everyone's job is linked to results. So and I help companies do the same thing. So they are really smart and the plane, if you will, is not bloated because we run very lean and strategic. And that doesn't mean we're understaffed. It means we're strategic and lean. And I think knowing where my value is super important because from the beginning of Stafford Solutions, it was just me and my assistant. And then we continued to hire based on where I go, okay, this is where I need some more support. I'm able to take this off my plate. So I can I am capable of doing everything, every role that we have at Stafford Solutions. I'm capable of executing all of them. And at one point I did. But in order to scale your business, and this is really important, it's a great lesson that I learned that I think it's a great question you asked me. In order to scale, you have to be okay letting things go and saying, now I'm going to pass this to somebody else. And I've talked about Who Not How, the book by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. It is my philosophy. It's who can do that, not how am I going to get it done? Who else can do this job? And that is the foundation of how we operate at Stafford Solutions is who can we hire? Who is the right person to do this? And 9 out of 10 times, it's not me. That should not be where I live. Most business owners that don't scale don't have systems or SOPs, but they use the mentality of, why would I pay someone to do that when I can do it? That is not the mentality if you want to grow your business. You have to think, how much can I not do so that I can free up my time to do what I do best, which is put my face out there, talk about my business and generate business and make sure that as the CEO of the company, which I still hold that role, that I know we're going in the right direction and that we are where we need to be, functioning how we need to function in order to grow the business. And if I'm handling all the marketing and approving everything we put out there for marketing, that is time that I'm not spending doing where I'm most valuable. So, knowing where I add the most value and looking for how quickly and efficiently can I take everything else off my plate is one of the best lessons as an entrepreneur that you can learn. And you have to shift that thinking from why would I pay someone else to do it when I can do it to who can I find to do everything so that I don't have to do it? And it's not because I don't know how or I don't want to. It's because it's not where my time is most valuable being spent.
That's so good. It's a complete flip on what we were I was at least what I was taught growing up. It's like, no, if you can do it, do it. And it's like, no. Hearing what you're saying, it's like you're preparing to not have to be there on the back
Yes,
end.
exactly.
And I just had a conversation recently with a new friend of mine, and they were saying they have this framework where they they need to duplicate it first, right? So they do, then they duplicate, then they delegate. So that way they don't have to do it anymore.
Mhm.
I know how to do it. I'm gonna figure out a way to duplicate this system of how I do it. then I'm gonna delegate to someone else, so I am gotta do it again. And I said,
And train them how to do it, but
and then
yes.
yeah, and then train them how to do it. Yeah, I think that's actually I think I'm missing a D. I think there's 4 Ds, and I think one of them might be something along those lines. But anyway, the whole point
Yeah.
is it's to duplicate the process. How do we duplicate the process to train the person to do the thing that I no longer want to do? And you actually put me onto that book. I saw it. I read a little bit of it. You know, I actually just read the Gap and the Gain. I just dropped the
Oh,
podcast
that's a good one
episode
too.
about it. Yeah, such a good book. And the who not how, and I mentioned it to my wife because she's a do it person. You know,
Yeah.
I love her to death. She's so blue collar. You know what I mean? She's no, let's just do it. No, and I'm like, I'm telling you, wouldn't
Yes.
you rather? Wouldn't you rather be hanging out with our son doing something else? It's like, yeah, okay, well then let's just earn enough
Mhm.
so we can pay the person that has a career doing the thing that you want to now do so we can do what we want to do, you know, and that's a life lesson, but I think that goes into businesses and leadership as well. I think
Totally.
there's a lot of value.
I think, I talked about, like, seeing payroll and I'm like, oh, but I also am like, "Yes, that means I'm a who for all these people. They're a who for me and I'm a who for them." And I get to provide an opportunity for them, and I don't like to go into my all my team's, stories publicly. They can share those if they choose. But, I recently hired somebody to be a house manager for me. And I know that might sound like bougie or indulgent or whatever, but here's the thing. I'm spending an hour and a half a day was spending an hour and a half a day doing what I call my mom chores because I'm a mom and things have to get done around the house. And in an hour and a half, I can do a lot of really good work in my business if I'm not doing those things. So what did I do? Created a job description, well, with the help of my ops team, created SOPs, how things get done. And hired somebody that fits. And guess what? I'm providing an opportunity for her to provide experiences for her family that she wouldn't be able to do without that additional stream of income. And she helps me tremendously because now I get to go do other things than I was doing during that time, outside of that. So I think it's a different mentality. You have to think about, what is my time valued at? This is the exercise I use with business owners. What is your time valued at? Whatever that dollar amount is, figure out what you want your time to be valued at. And it may be, your goal might be, let's say, I want to be valued at $500 an hour. Right now, I'd say it's 50. Okay. I'm just putting it out. We'll just do a simple math. If you can pay someone $25 an hour to do something and your time is worth 50 and you go work for one more hour, you just earn 2 hours of time back because you're paying somebody else to do that job. And how big can you scale that to where you're buying time back? And I think it's in Rich Dad Poor Dad. I could be mistaken, but I think it's in Rich Dad Poor Dad where it's like rich, and I don't like rich poor. I'm just using the mindset. It's
Yeah,
it's more like abundant and scarcity. Abundant people think, how much time can I buy back? And scarcity mindset or poor thinks, I'm not gonna give my money up. How much money can I keep? And I think the opposite. So, weirdo, against the grain, don't think like everybody else. Yes, I'm always like, who can I hire to do this? My kids laugh at me. They're like, you have somebody to do everything. And it's like, yeah, so I can focus on you guys and my business and my husband. And
yeah. Your
those are the things that
priorities.
matter, right?
Yeah,
So I'm gonna be the one to pick my son up from school until he drives. I'm gonna be the one to show up for him. I'm not hiring someone to do that, but I'll hire someone to cook my dinner so that I can go pick him up and spend time with him. And it's a different mindset. You have to shift your mindset, and the world does not teach us to think that way. The world teaches us to think the scarcity mindset way of, you keep your money, don't pay for people to do things. And I'm like, how many people can I write a paycheck to?
yeah. No, that's so good, and I'm walking into that philosophy myself. It's such a great way to look at the the freeing up of your time because that's
Mhm.
th- time is infinitely more valuable than money, and we've spoken about that, but infinitely more valuable than money. So I'm willing to give up the money to get my time back with that,
Yes.
like not even a question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
It's
at first when you're doing it, the time that you give up has to be poured back into making money, right?
yes,
Because I'm giving up an hour of doing let's just call it my mom chores, as we'll stick with that example. I'm going to give up an hour a day of doing mom chores. I'm going to put an hour extra of work in, and I'm going to earn twice what I'm paying somebody, or three times, or four times, or whatever that number is. But you have to trade it that way in the beginning. And once you've traded enough that way, then it's like, okay, well, I can either now my filter is, if it's not something that is going to grow my business and I have to be the one doing it, and it doesn't bring me a significant amount of joy, and it doesn't give me more time to focus on one of my six key pillars that are my foundations of my priorities, then I'm going to hire someone to do it. In the beginning, when you're building, it's trading. I'm hiring someone to do this task because I can make twice that when I'm doing this, or whatever that number is. But I think you and listeners, I'm sure, understand.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Lindsay, this has been great. I think, not only myself, but our listeners have gotten a lot from you today. I do have a closing question. I just want to get
Yes.
your take on this. So you've done a lot with a lot of businesses, right? And you've taken these owners to scale while staying true to their vision, something we just talked about, your six key pillars that you have, but you've also do the same thing with these other businesses, making sure that they stay true to themselves as well.
Right.
If you could leave our audience with one guiding principle about leading with impact, what would it
Mm.
be? And why does that resonate deeply with you?
The word serve comes to mind because everything is about serving. And if you go into leadership, entrepreneurship, friendship, about how do I serve those that I'm in proximity to, the rest just comes. It is about It was never about a dollar amount for me. It has always been about, how do I make a difference? How do I be the change? How do I serve? How do I use what I'm good at and serve others? And in some ways, that's how do I provide job opportunities for people? In some ways, that's how do I take my experience and help serve others with the knowledge that I've gained? Back when I was young in my retail days, I was very, very young in a multi-unit leadership role. I had no business being in that role, okay? I was in my 20s, I was super young, my peers were all significantly older than me, and I remember thinking, God, I don't know what I did to get here, and I'm not sure why you gave me this role, but, like, I'm really blessed to have this expertise around me and these resources, and I'm gonna pay it forward, and I'm gonna take what I learn and I'm gonna give other people the knowledge. I look back at my time, I started with limited brands. I spent 10 years with L Brands, now it's called. I spent Express, Bath and Body Works. I worked under Nike umbrella, American Eagle Outfitters. These are all iconic brands that, you know, they have amazing experience. There's an amazing experience you can get when you work for companies like that, in the roles that I was in. And I was committed to saying, I'm going to take this and I'm going to help other people I'm going to help give this gift to other people. And so I look around me at entrepreneurs, and what seems so normal and natural and obvious to me doesn't to them, because they don't have that same experience. And so my mission is to serve others and help them to become the best version of themselves, help their business be the best version of themselves by serving them. And so I go back to that word. It's all about, when you look at it like, how can I serve other people? You approach it differently. You approach it in a servant mentality and attitude versus, how do I go get business? That's a very different approach. And life just feels better when it's about serving, right? It just feels better when you're here thinking, how can I serve other people? So figure out what you can do to serve others and have the heart of a teacher and a servant in everything you do.
Lindsay, that was amazing. That was amazing. I appreciate you sharing that. I couldn't agree more. Service is such a powerful word. Lindsay, thank you so much for joining me. For all our listeners out there, thank you again for joining us on the Think Like a Leader podcast. If Lindsay's insights spark something in you, as we always say, please pick one strategy from today, put it into play this week, do something, because we know raw action beats no action every single time. Subscribe for more game changing conversations. Share this episode, please, with a fellow entrepreneur, another business owner. please leave a review wherever you listen. Your feedback does really fuel our mission, fuel me getting guests like Lyndsay on the platform. We really do appreciate it. Lyndsay, do you have any parting shots for the audience today?
Yeah, go follow Instagram. My handle is just Lyndsay Stafford. It's Lyndsay Stafford, one word. I'm on LinkedIn and YouTube. I've got my own podcast, so go check that out. I interview just like you do. I interview great business owners, and we're all about serving and giving great advice. So check us out. And if you heard something and you're a business owner and you're like, well, dang, I need all of that. Well, let me know. We do that. You can go to my website, Stafford Solutions Consulting, or lindsaystafford.com. Both of those will take you there. And we've got some free resources there, but also, you can book a discovery call with me and the team.
Awesome. And as we all know, all of this will be in the show notes for everyone that's driving. Just check
Yeah.
the show notes
Yeah.
out afterwards. And I promise you, you'll be able to
Yeah.
get in touch with Lyndsay. But thank you guys again. This has been a great episode. This is Think Like a Leader. See you next week.
Thanks so much.